Teachers Talk. I'm your host, Fiona Charles Williams, the PRO of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union. And I'm live with you here in studios at Boom 106.9 FM. I'm just breezing here on this very wet and cozy Sunday evening. So, guys, we have our guest in studios this evening, and I have one. Well, I don't know if to even say he's a handsome gentleman because he's just hating on me right now. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I have a lovely young lady here with me in studios this evening. So, ladies first, introduce yourself, and then we'll go to that not so handsome-ish gentleman, and then we're gonna just come right back at me. Go right ahead.
Good evening, SVG. Good evening. My name is Reba Kozia, and I am a committee member on the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, and it is a pleasure to be here this evening with you all.
A pleasant good night to each and everyone out there in Radio Land, all the listeners, 106.9. Pleasant good afternoon to our general membership. Of course, it's Van Rick Williams, the first vice president of the SBGTU, that not so handsome young man left a while ago, right? And of course, someone else is here at the moment. Today, of course, I'm in the studio in a capacity, not only as the first vice president, but also as the course director of our upcoming summer workshop, which I will talk about a little bit more as the program goes on.
All righty. Thank you very much. So let me say welcome again to you guys, and welcome to those our listeners both on Boom and on our Facebook live feed. It's always a pleasure having you here and having you locked on to us. So remember to tell someone that Teachers Talk is on and we are ready and we're raring to go. So before we get into the whole thing, I have to do one or two little shout outs this evening. I want to say a huge shout out to the teachers of the Brighton Methodist School, right? I understand that they were mandated. You hear how I put that word? Mandated to tune in this evening to listen to us, to know what's going on with the union. So I want to thank those persons who are always making sure that our membership is locked on and making sure that they know what is happening with the union, subscribing to our media programs. We really appreciate it. So big shout out to those teachers. And if you're a person that does that on a regular, you need to let me know and then we can work there. So now, Fuji is being nice to me. I tell you. So yeah, I don't know why you tone it like that, Fuji. Why exactly? Oh, what's blocking my face? Oh, okay, all right, okay, cool. You see, if I was sitting, it might have been a little bit easier, but it's all good. Now, so our topic for our season 5, episode 3, we have union updates. So we have two things that we're basically going to do this evening. Vanrik alluded to one. We're going to talk about the whole summer institute, or what we know as our teachers summer workshop, and we're going to talk about our Go Public Fund Education. Yeah, so I'm going to let Vanrik start because obviously we're going to have that part as a part of the workshop as well. So, but we are free to, communicate and correspond and talk. This is not like the classroom where you can't correspond and you can't really talk. So we're gonna talk and we're gonna reason with each other. So Vanrik, you have just introduced yourself as the course director of our workshop, and I must tell you guys, the not so handsome gentleman, he is doing a phenomenal job as course director. He's making sure to dot his I's and cross his T's. He's making sure that everything is secure for you guys when you come to the workshop. So I'm going to just hand over to him now and let him tell you all about the workshop. Let him give you an idea what is happening, what's going to happen, what you can expect, and dates, everything like that. And then we will talk as that time goes on. Go ahead, Vanu, take it away.
All right. Thank you again, Sister Fiona. A lot is going on.
Mm-hmm.
You said a while ago, I'm going to talk about what is going on. A lot is going on. A lot has been going on because this summer workshop, it has been in the planning for a very long time,
Very long time.
from since last year,
Yeah,
from since the year before, and the years, that led us up to this year.
Right.
So this summer program, of course, it is something that has been in effect for a very long time.
Right.
In the past, this workshop, which we call it, was dubbed, or it was called, Project Overseas.
Mm-hmm.
That name has changed.
Right.
It is a collaboration, a partnership between the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation, the Canadian Teachers Federation,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, our very own organization, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union.
Mm-hmm.
Collaboration slash partnership is a big thing, not only in education, but in the entire society.
Mm-hmm.
But in our field, which is education, collaboration and partnership will definitely help us to achieve the desired result. Now, Project Overseas, which it was called in the past, the name has changed. It is now called Teaching Together. So this summer workshop that we will be working on, that is the Canadian Teachers Federation, our Ministry of Education, and our organization, is called Teaching Together Summer Program 2025. And this is slated to take place from the 14th of July to the 25th of July. Yes, people. Yes, teachers. 2 weeks.
2 full weeks.
2 full weeks. Of course, you are wondering where the venue is. It will be at the St. Vincent Grammar School.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, just after Carnival. Now, put it this way. When organizations or institutions offer scholarships, people, teachers, grab for those scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
When universities offer grants or government offer grants, people grab for these. Now look at it this way. For our upcoming workshop, we are going to have Canadians partnering with us.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is like teachers would have the opportunity to go to a different institution, but instead of teachers going to the institution, it will be coming to them in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mm-hmm.
So teachers, you must grab this opportunity. You must take this opportunity and show that you register. And yes, I use the word register because teachers, a link will be available for teachers to register. And more so, our members, you get to do this free of cost.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the program, there will be a certificate that will be issued to you. Yes, a very professional, credible certificate. Now, there is so much more to say about this upcoming workshop. I mentioned earlier that it would be from the 14th of July to the 25th, 8:15 a.m. to 2 p.m. each day. And we
Right.
have a packed schedule. On the schedule, our main focus, we have 4 main focus areas. But of course, there are several sub-teams.
Right.
Right? Now, this program, or this summer workshop as we call it, it is to empower our teachers so that they can develop the skills, the mindset needed that would help to drive our education system forward. And let us not even talk about the pedagogical skills
Right.
that will be gained from this workshop. Now, as I said, not only would skills and knowledge be imparted to our teachers, but from our organization standpoint, it brings unity. It shows solidarity because our members now have an opportunity to share their educational experiences where we can talk about our challenges, where we can talk about our best practices. And at the end of the day, we get together as a union and it shows our collective strength. This will help us in the future when it comes to bargaining or negotiating with our employers because that collective strength is what is going to push our union forward. So, of course, we have that rationale for our program, our Teaching Together Summer Program 2025. Our main areas, and because we have so many areas that we want to pack in the 2 weeks and look at,
And
we
it's
have
going
to
to
do
be hard
sub
to pack.
teams,
Yeah, it's going to be hard to
right?
pack all of those in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our focus areas: mathematics,
Mhm.
reading,
Mhm.
science and technology,
Mhm.
and of course, trade union.
Mhm.
Now, we just did not come up with these topics of our own.
Ah.
In this modern age, we don't work by chances. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union does not work by chances.
Hmm.
Ranrick Williams, as the course director, does not work about chances. There's a culture that we need to change in St. Vincent. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, if we say the program starts 6 or the party starts 6, people come for 7.
Hmm.
No. That's not what this course director is about. That is not what the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union is about. Not under the leadership of Oswald, not under the leadership of the first vice president, not under the leadership of the entire national executive. So, this program that is coming up, these focus areas, they were research driven.
Mhm.
For example, let us look at mathematics. When you look at the CSEC results over the years,
Right.
it tells you that mathematics need work.
Mhm.
It needs improvement, not only in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but throughout the entire Caribbean. So CSEC results was one of the data that we used to come up with this focus area. Reading. I'm in the secondary school.
Mhm.
Sister Fiona is also in the secondary school. Shout out to St. Clair Dakin Secondary School, by the way. Yes, and our principal, we are good like that.
Uh-huh.
But there are students that come to us in the secondary schools
Right.
that cannot read.
Mhm.
So they would have spent 7 years or even more
Mhm.
in the primary schools. And then they come to us in the secondary schools and they can't read alphabetic, pre-primers, and so forth.
Mhm.
So here again, we are seeing a need to work on reading,
Mhm.
which is very important, right? That literacy aspect.
Mhm. And let me
Right.
just interject here by
Mhm.
saying we are not in any way blaming primary school teachers for that. Not
No,
at
no,
all.
no. No,
But
no.
it's just what we notice
As I
that
said, research.
this has been happening for some time now. So, we're just trying to help teachers by giving an extra tool in
Correct.
their arsenal of
Correct.
tools. Yeah.
Correct. Right. So meanwhile, as you made that clear, it's
Mhm.
not about beating up on our primary school
Right.
teachers.
No, we love you guys.
Right. but more so, it is the education system.
Right.
It needs to be revamped. But
Mhm.
of course, that's another story for another time
Yeah.
because we are talking about the summer workshop.
Yeah.
Hopefully, when the Ministry of Education ready to revamp the system, they include us.
In that.
I am here. I'm ready for that. I am trained in that area, that educational field, so I'm ready for that. But when that time comes, right? So,
Mhm.
as I said, we just did not choose these areas off the back of our back, so to speak.
Mhm.
These were research driven. Science and technology. How can we leave out technology? That is the way forward.
Right.
Over the past years, it has shown us that technology is important and it should be an integral part in teaching. COVID-19,
Mhm.
the volcanic eruptions, even Hurricane Barry last year, it exposed all of these disasters, exposed our weaknesses or some of our weaknesses in the educational system.
Right.
So we know that we must have a hybrid system, so to speak.
Mhm.
So technology is important, especially with AI, artificial intelligence. That is something that we need to look at. So we know that technology is the way forward, artificial intelligence, the in thing.
Mhm.
So we must pay close attention to this. Hence, we have that science and technology aspect. And of course, our organization, trade union, how can we have a workshop without talking about trade union aspects.
Of course not.
We must include the trade union aspects. So these are the main areas that we decided to look on. And when I said we, I'm not just talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, because earlier I said it's a collaboration, a partnership between the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation, the Canadian Teachers Federation, and our organization. So, as a course director, I had a sit down, a discussion, along with Oswald, brother Robbie, our president. We had a sit down with the Ministry of Education, Mrs. Dyer, Senior Education Officer, Curriculum. And we thoroughly went through these aspects, and we decided with data that these should be the aspects we should focus on.
Okay. Let me interject a question here. So, what would you say to persons or teachers who are listening to the main areas? Reading, science and
Mathematics.
technology, mathematics, and so on, and say, oh, this sounds like primary school program for geared towards the primary school teachers. I really don't need this as a secondary school teacher.
That's not true.
Okay.
Because in the secondary school, right, and especially in the rural schools, there are designated literacy teachers. And that is because there's a problem in the secondary school. So the fact that we have literacy teachers, we also have numeracy teachers as well.
Right.
So that shows it is not a problem only in the secondary schools, primary schools, but
right. For
it
real.
is also an issue in the secondary schools.
Okay.
Right? But the sub teams,
So we get into that.
the sub teams would spell out more for the teachers, not only the primary school teachers, but those teachers who may think it sounds as though the areas are geared towards the primary school teachers, the sub areas, spell out more about it. Right. So we have as sub areas the use of artificial intelligence. And I know teachers may not know about this, but CXC, they have an initiative coming on board with artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah.
And it has to do a lot with the SBAs as well.
Right.
But of course, that is something that would be talked about in the future. But CXC plan to bring this on stream from next year.
Right.
So it's not too far off. So artificial intelligence there. We also have the use of research data to provide instruction. As I mentioned before, our topics, we use research data to come up with these topics. We have teaching strategies, differentiated instruction, integration across learning areas, inclusive education. We have classroom management as well as some of the sub areas. So you see, these sub areas, they are not only geared for the primary schools, because classroom management is a big issue, not only in the primary schools,
It's a big issue.
but in the secondary schools.
Yeah, definitely.
And
so.
yes, it accounts for a lot of loss of instructional time, because if teachers are unable to manage their class appropriately or properly, then instructional time will be lost. Right? So we have these areas under the 3 curriculum areas. Then we also have trade union. And we have several sub-teams on the trade union. We have the collective agreement, something that we have been asking the Ministry of Education and by extension the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to come back to the table and sit with us.
Right.
So that we can discuss a new collective agreement.
Yeah.
I think I started to sound like Brother Robbie a while.
Yes. Let's not channel Brother Robbie. Let's keep on Vanwick.
We also have the constitutional rights, workers' rights, code of ethics, the importance of our organization, SVGTU, minimum wage act, pension reform, and that is a big thing.
That's
teachers,
a huge thing.
And not only teachers, civil servants, it is a big thing. Pension reform. People like me, I still have almost 20 years in the service before I retire, and that is if the retirement age does not go up.
Please don't say
right?
so.
So I still have about 20 years or so to go before I retire.
Uh-huh.
And pension reform is going to affect me.
Yeah.
Let us not talk about Sister Reba, who is
No,
very
still
young,
very young.
who has a lot more than 20 years to go. So
That's
pension
wonderful.
reform is
Yeah,
very
yeah,
important.
yeah.
We have mental health.
Mental
Oh,
health.
yeah.
Mental health. Teachers.
Backtrack before mental health,
Mhm.
but a part of pension reform,
Mhm.
we also have planning for retirement, because we have
Mhm.
to figure that out.
Yes, yes,
Because
definitely.
sometimes that pension doesn't help us much.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
And even when you retire at 60, you have to wait until what, 65
60.
before you start to get.
Oh
So you
yes,
have 5 years.
something to wait. You
Yeah,
have a
yeah, to
good way to
struggle
wait
about.
if you retire at 60. That is
Right.
right.
And research also will show that a lot of teachers do not live to that age.
Right.
Those teachers who pass on while they are in the service,
Mm-hmm.
and they are teachers, they retire this year, next
And next
year,
year,
the other 2
yes,
years,
yeah, yeah,
they are gone to
yes.
the greater beyond, so to
So
speak.
we need to start, and well, we who have been in the system for some time really need to figure out what's happening when we get to that
Of
stage.
course, of
And
course.
persons like Sister Reba need to plan early enough.
All of us need to plan, but even the
Early
younger
enough,
teachers more
especially
so.
the younger teachers, because they don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen with the system come 40 years down the road.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So this is another important aspect under the trade union area. We have mental health, as I was
Oh, yes.
mentioning, and of course, burnout is real.
Oh yes.
Teachers know about burnout,
Chronic fatigue is
right?
real.
Definitely.
Teachers know about burnout.
Definitely.
September, the school year begins.
And
Right.
by what? Week 3 we tired.
well, let me say September before December when the first term ends.
Yeah,
Teacher
we're
already
like
burned out.
we're done with it. We're
Right.
tired. We're tired.
Yes.
We're tired
yes.
mentally, and
physically.
then physically, it manifests
I'm
itself
telling you.
physically and physiologically. Yes,
Right.
it does.
So mental health is very important. We have that as an aspect as well. And of course, I don't want to say save the best for the last. But we have gender relations as well. And of course, Sister Fiona, Sister Tishana Reed, they will definitely look at this gender relations area. So we have a packed program, right? And as we run every day, 14th July to the 25th, 8:15 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So why is it so important that teachers register? Because I noticed you said the link will be out soon and teachers must register. Why is it so important that teachers must register for this workshop? Why not just show up like we did in the past?
No. And if you notice, I mentioned, we must register. There's order must be kept,
Yeah.
especially logistics.
Mhm.
Teachers, lunch will be provided.
Mhm.
We are working with the Ministry of Education to get both passes for Grenadines teachers.
Right.
Right? Now, registration would help to provide the necessary information, logistic information, so we can help with the preparation. More so, this is a professional organization.
Right.
We cannot do things, and I quote, like a Marby shop. Right? So registration is important, especially for the logistics that we have planned for that summer workshop.
Right.
Right?
Okay, cool. So it's very important. So who can register for this program?
Well, really and truly, all teachers can register, but
Yes, we know
there's a big but.
Yeah.
Right? This program is really geared towards our members.
Right.
And that is the general membership of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union. Right? Because there are benefits to be derived when you are a member. So it is important to become a member of this organization so that
Right.
you can have or experience the benefits. Right? So as I said, it is for members, but of course we will accept other teachers because they are all our brothers and sisters at a minimal cost, so to speak.
Right. Definitely so. Definitely so. So I am going to still have a little bit of time, So Valerie, just give your encouragement to the teachers to, You may make sure, give them the dates again. I mean, and it's not the Wednesday after Carnival, as some teachers complained about the last time bitterly that, oh, I'm just Carnival, some of us tired, and that kind of way. So it's not that. You
No.
still have a few days
You
because
have almost a whole week.
a whole week
Almost.
almost, because this workshop, the 14th, it's actually a Monday.
The Monday,
So
the
we are
14th of
starting the
July.
Monday, the week after Carnival. So
Correct.
so give your best encouragement to make sure
Yes.
that the teachers come on board.
So as I said before, right, I'm going to use it again. Now, when institutions offer scholarships or opportunities for teachers, right, to improve and develop themselves, teachers grab these opportunities. We, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation and the Canadian Teachers Federation, are offering an opportunity for teachers to develop their pedagogical skills, to develop their knowledge. So it is very important for teachers to grab this opportunity to register and to be part of the program, because we are bringing the program to you. It's not that you have to travel to Canada where you're going to experience these courses, right? And of course, the Canadians, they have so much experience. I can talk a little bit just about the team leader.
Right.
She has over 30 years experience in the education field. She has worked as a counselor. She has worked as vice principal. She has taught from grade 7 to grade 12. In St. Vincent, we go to grade 11, but they go to grade 12 there.
Right.
Right? She has done extensive studies in gender relations, right, in leadership and in other areas. So she has a wealth of experience, and that is just the team leader. But
Right.
there are 4 Canadians. So teachers, you must grab this opportunity. You must register for this summer workshop, the Teaching Together Summer Program 2025, because we are bringing the course to you free
Free.
of cost.
Free.
You're going to have that certificate,
Right.
that credible certificate that you can use. Lunch will be provided. Those teachers that, transportation, we also going to refund
Right.
the transportation. As I said, we are working on both passes with the Ministry of Education for our Grenadines teachers. So it is our entire general membership. It doesn't matter if you are from far north
Not
or
Leeward.
far north. And you notice I say far north or far north, because in St. Vincent we have this thing about country, and we
Country
don't
and
call
Leeward.
Leeward country. But once it is not in the tongue, it is country.
Right.
Right? And of course, fancy that's north, chateau that's north. So whether you are from far north, we know it. Far north Leeward.
Or
Far south,
Uh-huh.
Grenadines, Union Island. We have made this program accessible
Right.
to every teacher in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Teachers, this is like hot bread. Just off the press, so to speak. So grab the opportunity to make sure you register, make sure you attend every single day, make sure you get that certificate. As I said again, we are bringing the program to you. You don't have to spend a dime to go to Canada,
Right.
right? So take that opportunity.
All right. Okay. So, teachers, you heard it from the first VP slash course director himself. Make sure that you register for this upcoming workshop, Teaching Together. It is being called. It's from July 14th to the 25th, and we have a packed program. We have a special something as well, but we can't let that cat out of the bag. So you have to make sure that you register.
Yep.
You have to make sure that you attend in order to see that special
And one more thing, Sister
Yeah.
Fiona,
Go right
when we
ahead.
talk about registration, the link to register will be sent to the schools from the Ministry of Education. As
Right.
I told you, that's our partner,
Right.
along with the Canadian Teachers Federation. So the Ministry of Education will send the circular to each school, and the principal or the head of the school will or should make that link available for teachers. Of course, our organization will also do our best to make sure that that link is available.
Yes.
But I was assured,
Through the structures of the
yes,
organization.
I was
yeah.
assured teachers by the Ministry of Education that that link will be sent by this week.
Right.
Right? So don't be surprised, teachers, if by tomorrow you go to school, you see your principal make this available to you.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So make sure you take part. Make sure you put yourself in the position to register and be a part of our summer workshop, our teaching together workshop. Now, Sister Reba has been there waiting so patiently. So patiently, and Sister Reba.
I know. I'm sorry for taking
It
most
is a
of the talk.
virtue, so
And that's why I said earlier, I started the song like Brother Robbie because we know Brother Robbie is a great speaker.
Of course,
right?
of course.
And yes, mentor. So this is Van Rick Williams,
Yeah.
so not Brother Robbie.
So, Sister, I almost say so, Brother Robbie. So, Sister Reba, right, you are here for a special initiative that we have embraced as the St. Vincent and Grenadines Teachers Union. We are the first in the Caribbean to do so. And Sister Reba, I'm just going to leave you to just start the conversation rolling, and then we will go. I'll fill in, I'll jump in from there. And of course, Van Rick would want to jump in too, knowing Van Rick. Van Rick would want to jump in here and there, just a here and there jump in. Just a here and there.
Maybe.
So go right
Why not?
ahead, Sister Reba.
all right, thank you. And again, patience is a virtue, so it was no issue waiting my turn.
Okay.
Tonight, well, yes, I should say tonight, going into evening, we are here to talk about the Go Public Fund Education.
So you need to hold that up a bit,
campaign.
right? Good. So,
So
right.
we're seeing it there.
Yes, we're seeing it. We're seeing it.
Okay.
So you can tilt that just this way, right?
way?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, cool.
So it is an initiative that was started by Education International, and we of course were eager and willing to sign on to the campaign with them after a 2-day workshop that we had in January.
Right.
Now, for persons who may not know and are probably wondering, what is the Go Public Fund Education campaign? It is a campaign that we jumped onto because it is geared towards advocating for education and to elevate the status of teaching around the world. So
Right.
it's not just, even though we were the first Caribbean country to sign on to the campaign,
Right.
it's a global initiative where they're hoping other unions and other countries are willing to join the campaign so that we can fight for teachers, because our profession is indeed important. What we are doing as teachers is important, and so we are in collaboration with Education International to highlight key goals to basically advocate for our teachers in terms of salaries, in terms of teacher welfare, in terms of our collective agreement and so forth. But we have also decided to create maybe like a few different programs along the way where
Right.
we're going to inform our members
Right.
of what is happening and why we think that this campaign is so important. Even in terms of with recent developments throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I am sure teachers are aware of why we need advocacy and why we need someone speaking on our behalf and for us and with us.
So you mentioned in terms of recent developments. What do you mean by recent? Because we cannot assume that everyone knows what you're talking about when you say recent development. So just give a little idea, and then why it's so important to advocate.
Okay, so as recent as we would talk about in terms of the teachers who would have lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 vaccine
Right.
mandate, resources within the classroom, we would have heard teachers or principals giving thoughts, crying out in terms of saying that, they need resources.
Right.
Things are not being happening, even in terms of for some school visits.
Yeah.
Last November, when we would have did a few school visits, we noticed students, well, I would hope that that has changed by
By
now.
now, yeah.
Students were standing instead of sitting in their classrooms. They had nowhere to sit. They did not
Right.
have desks to write on.
Right.
And these are things that not only affect students, they would affect teachers as
Teachers,
well.
right.
Because how can you stand in front of a class with students who are also standing, or they have nowhere to write? How can you properly educate the nation's children in a way like that?
Okay, so when we say, what are some of the things that well, you mentioned, let me put it like this, you mentioned salaries, and I know right away there are some persons listening and saying, teachers they always want more money, they want this, they want that. Not like if, they teach, they get, what they say, we get holidays off. We don't do anything during the holidays. That's
What
I,
holidays?
what I was wondering myself. But I'm just saying what is being said out there. We get holidays off. We get summers off. We don't have much to do when we are finished teaching. So what are you talking about with wanting more this or advocating? So let's break it down and let's explain to persons what really happens
When
around
we
here.
talk about salary, as you would say, it's not that, yes, there are some teachers who would think that their salary should be higher. However, when we look at our education level, let's be fair here. If you would have studied for umpteenth years, maybe you studied your bachelor's within your 3 years, or even at a master's level, and you have your bachelor's, and they're expecting you to do the work
Right.
in the classroom of a teacher who holds a bachelor's degree, but they are not paying you for such.
Right.
Who wants to work, really? Who would work? You're giving all of that effort and you are seeing no return. Mind you, teachers have families as well.
Right,
Some
right.
teachers have mortgages, teachers have children that they also have to send to school.
Right.
And we don't want to be Billy Button.
But that actually came in my head. That whole Billy Button what for nothing thing came in my head. Yes,
we do
because
not-
we are seen as a vocation instead of a profession.
And
Are you guys talking about me?
I was just about to say I'm not a member of the class, but okay, but go ahead.
And yes, we do it for the students. Yes, you do it for the love of the children. But anybody, even though you love your job, you are at your job to receive a salary,
Right.
because without that salary, how will you live?
Yes.
Even if you're doing it for the love of your job, how can you live if there is no reimbursement, if there is no salary to
Right.
compensate you for
Right.
all that you are doing?
Right. And then one of the things that is also mentioned, one of the things we have to put forward, well, Brother Vanrick alluded to it, mental health.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
And that's
yes.
one of the things that we need to advocate for. And we saw it in the last 5 years, how teachers have been under a lot of strain.
Correct.
You had the pandemic and navigating teaching throughout the pandemic and
Correct.
even after the pandemic with various legislative processes. Then you had the volcanic eruption, and then having to navigate that and having to, work through that. Even though you have your own family, some persons had to leave their family, teachers had to double up and babysit other persons'
Yes.
children and different things like that. Being at shelters, different things like that, and they had nothing. There was no recovery after that because there wasn't even a break. You was just like, oh, you have to go right back into the classroom.
After that,
And I
you
remember
just dive
speaking
right
to
back in.
our principal saying, I haven't even recovered. Mentally, I have not recovered. I have just been going non-stop. And persons would think that, oh, really? You have the summer, you have whatever again. And they don't understand, Vanrick Reba, that sometimes by the time you are able to get your own personal business done, school has, you have to go back to school.
But
So
just
there
to
is
say something there
yeah,
too.
go ahead.
I have not had a vacation. you talk about vacation,
Right.
but I have not applied for vacation, long leave, in 25 years. I've been in the system for 25 years. I've not applied for vacation. And over the last recent years, I've not had that time off during the summer.
Right.
Because during the summer, I've been at school.
Right.
During
Correct.
the Easter vacation, I've been with the Form 5s, preparing them.
Right.
Right. So when you talk about time off, that is alien to me, and I'm sure a lot of teachers
Yes,
can
what can
empathize.
attest to
Yes,
that. Yes, so go
because
ahead.
even as we're thinking in terms of time off, when we consider the fact that we are entering a new academic year, yes, you may still be teaching the same grade or the same form.
Right.
However, you are going to meet a new set of students, students who are different in temperament, students whose learning abilities may differ. So
Right.
you have to also prepare for the differences in the students. So what worked last year, you may thinking, oh, not much to prepare because same form, different
Oh
students. So
yes.
you have to then, you may think, oh, this strategy, I already have that down pat, but it may not work with your new
Right.
bunch. So
Right.
you have to go back to the drawing
Drawing
board. You
board.
have to regroup. And that is what this summer is for. It is for us to plan, for us to prepare,
Right.
to ensure that come September, we are giving your children, we are giving the nation's children, we are giving our children the best that we can.
Okay. And we also mentioned lack of resources. Tell
Yes.
us how, how that impacts not just teachers this time around, but our children and even our parents.
Well, lack of resources. When we have schools that do not have simple printing paper,
Uh-huh. Let's go there.
simple printing paper, ink for the printer, sometimes even a few notebooks or so for the students or the children may not have it. How are we printing those tests that are mandated,
Yeah.
that we do at the end of the term? We are taught to teach authentically, to make sure to use different strategies. Where are the worksheets coming from if the printing paper is not there?
Especially for differentiated instruction.
Exactly
Yeah.
so. Or even to introduce concrete manipulatives into the classroom. Sometimes, if I do not, or other teachers I know for sure, if they don't push their hands in their
Pockets.
pockets, these materials are not going to be materialized.
Well, I heard through the grapevine that it was said that that is what the teachers' end the year allowance was for. But yeah, I know
No, I
we
have to
don't
shake my head.
we know that's different. We know
Yeah.
that's different. We know that's different. But go ahead.
And we know that is different, but even so, right? Teachers are getting what, say $600 at the end of
No,
the
it
end of
depends on
term.
your grade.
It
It
depends
depends on
on the
your grade.
grade. Yeah.
Okay. How far can that go for an entire school year if you're teaching a class of 36 students or a class of 26 students?
And what
Or
26?
or if you're at secondary school where you are teaching
Multiple.
multiple,
Yeah.
maybe this one form, but you have three form twos or three form ones,
Right.
and you each form one, each form two has 20 something, 30 something children in the class. How far is
let,
that
let, let me tell
allowance
you how
going to
far I
go?
can go, right?
Go
It may
ahead.
be able to buy whiteboard markers only.
If it buys.
May only for
If
the
it
year,
for the
because
year.
what, $5 so on, and they
$5 so
last
on.
about a week,
About a week with the amount of writing
right?
that we do.
And
Yeah.
don't talk about me taking my own toilet paper to school,
Oh
my,
yeah.
my
Well,
own
I was
paper
about to
towel to
talk
school,
about the toilet paper
my
issue,
own
but
soap hand wash to school. I guess I will leave Brother Rabbit
yeah,
to talk about
we'll
that.
leave Brother Robbie for that one. We'll leave that for him. Yeah. Go ahead, Fiva.
But yes, we need to pay more interest in education. We need to ensure that our needs are met, and it's not just teachers' needs, our students as well,
Right.
because these basic things that I'm talking about, it's not just, oh, teachers want the paper, teacher, no, we want them to perform
Our
our
duty.
job. We
Right.
want them to ensure that our nation's children are getting the education that we promised them.
Yeah. And also, now that you mentioned that, we also have to be aware of the fact that part of the whole issue with this initiative that we're doing here is that we have to look at one of the things that came out is the disparity of income,
Correct.
and then especially not just the disparity of income of teachers in St. Vincent as opposed to, but when we're
Across.
talking about inflation and
Oh,
can
yes.
teachers really survive? I mean, the nation, we can see the nation as a whole based on the inflation, but I mean, can we really survive? And then we know a lot of our teachers are single parents.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and they're struggling. I mean, those of us who are, with
Mhm.
partners or who are married and what's
Mhm.
we're struggling.
Let me
So
let me allude to
go
a headline, a recent headline in the newspaper,
go right
right?
ahead.
Police officer
Uh-huh.
caught on boat with drugs in Grenada. Was it Grenada?
St. Lucia,
One of
Grenada,
those.
St.
St.
Lucia. Yeah,
Lucia.
yeah, St. Lucia.
So
I
so
know.
you ask how teachers gonna manage? Let
Mhm.
me just allude to that headline.
I'm gonna leave that right
Right
there.
there.
I am not touching that this afternoon or this
Hmm.
evening, okay? But I mean, I get what you're saying. Persons are trying to make ends meet by any
Definitely,
means
it's
necessary,
necessary.
and we don't want to have to live in a society where that any means necessary becomes a norm in the society, right? So,
Mhm.
we need to advocate more.
And we also do not want to lose our teachers.
Right.
And we would have talked about teachers passing away
Mm,
and so forth,
mm.
but let's consider the brain drain
Oh
as
yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Our teachers who,
Mm-hmm.
when we hear, or if you go to the UK, you get twice your
Yeah.
salary for
Oh
the job
yes.
you're
And the
currently doing,
BVI.
And the
or for,
BVI,
or if
yeah.
you go to another Caribbean country, it's triple what you're making now
Mm-hmm.
based on all of the work that you are doing, and you have the resources, you have a nicer classroom and all of these
Yeah.
things,
Mm-hmm.
you have a more supportive maybe ministry or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So teachers are looking for opportunities, we are looking for a way
Mm-hmm.
out,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak.
And the reality is, I mean, and I've known persons to do this. I have known persons that would have done this over the years. They would try their best to give to their country because they're loyal to the country, right?
Mhm.
But they just can't make ends meet. They can't. Perhaps they want a house. They cannot get that with the current salary that they're
Correct.
making. They leave. They go to up north. I'm just gonna say it up north. I'm
Up
not
north.
gonna say where, but they go up north. They spend literally 5 years, 6 years. Most of them don't even spend 10 years, and they have said to me that what they made in 10 years working in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they made literally in 2 to 3 years working in that country. So if they spend 5 years and I mean, teachers know how to, as old
To do
people say,
that.
cut and can strive.
Uh-huh.
So if they're able to cut and can strive and they spend 5 6 years, that they're coming home
Mm-hmm.
with sufficient income to do what they need to do.
You know that, Fiona? Let me add to that.
Mhm.
I was told about a teacher who
Mhm.
left St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our service,
Right,
and went to the BVI.
right.
Right? She has a mortgage,
Mhm.
just like I do. I have what 20 years to pay my mortgage. I guess she has about the same, but she said that she's looking to pay off her mortgage within 3 to 5 years. And I asked myself, so what am I doing in St. Vincent? But
Mhm.
then it's just our system.
Mhm.
Yeah. So teachers are definitely talking about the money made elsewhere
Uh-huh.
compared to our country.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so we need to, back to the salaries, we
Yeah.
need to make it look appealing, we need to make it look great for teachers it's an incentive for them
Right.
to stay, recognizing their hard work,
Mhm.
understanding that yes, you have value, you are valued, and
Mhm.
so we are going to make sure that you are paid based for what you do,
Mhm.
and not the little nothing, but
Right.
so we want to make sure we retain
Mhm.
our teachers.
Right.
So by investing in public
Mhm.
education, by jumping onto this campaign,
Mhm.
we are trying to ensure that we do not lose our good
Right.
teachers.
And of
And it's
course, equality and equity.
definitely, and it's not just this is not let me say it here, this is not necessary, this is not a stab at any person, any power that be. But when we are investing in education, it's a whole nation approach.
Correct.
So it's the teachers, the parents,
Stakeholders.
stakeholders, all the stakeholders, and the
Mhm.
entire nation is a stakeholder because
Correct.
the nation reaps the benefit of the investment that they make.
Correct.
So we invest in education or we invest meaningfully in
In education.
education, then we get to see the benefit of that.
And
We do not
transparently
invest,
as well.
oh yes, we do not invest meaningfully, then we also see the benefit of that. Right. Yes, thank you very much, Sister Reba. Let us know what else we have. Oh, well, folks, Sister Reba will be featured in our Summer Institute, our workshop, our Teaching Together workshop.
Right.
She has a whole cross section on this Teaching
Campaign.
Together campaign that
Go
Go
education.
Education. Yeah, this Go Education
Fund.
campaign that we are
Go
having here.
public fund
Go
education.
right. She has a whole section there. So it's important for you to be there to hear what it's about,
To
to
understand.
understand it fully, and to go back to the schools to advocate for this program. We will also have one or two other events coming up throughout the year,
Correct.
which
Correct.
yes, which we're not at liberty quite to say yet, but we'll get there. Don't worry. And we would just like to let you know that we are on the ball and
We are
we are
working.
working on it, right? So, folks, you see Sister Reba, you see Brother Van Rick, but who you have not seen and who's in the studio is the heavy hitter. So I don't know if he wants to come beside me here or if he wants to go by Brother Van Rick, his first VP, and say what he has to say. But we have. Well, once you hear I say heavy hitter, you know that person needs no introduction. So,
Brother Robbie,
Brother Ravi.
yes. Right here, heavy hitters Mike.
Yeah, pleasant good evening. Let me commend the members of the of
The
the
opposition.
of the of the national executive for doing a great job. The PRO,
Mhm.
incoming, moving up higher. Van Rick also. Those of you who are listening out there,
Mhm.
I don't know if it was said before, but a bit of sad news this weekend actually.
Yeah.
Did you speak
No,
about
no,
it?
no, no, no. I was
Mr. The principal
Johans.
at Johans
Gibson.
Gibson, the principal of the St. Martin Secondary School. His mother was one of those persons who got shot
Mm-hmm.
in the Belmont tragedy. We want to use this opportunity again to express our deepest condolences to him, his family, relatives, the Belmont community, the staff, students, parents, guardians, the community of St. Martin Secondary School, and also Chantel Graves, one of our teachers. Her mother passed this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Chantel Graves and Mrs. John. They are both teachers at the Kingston Preparatory School.
Mm-hmm.
So their mother passed this morning, and we want to do likewise, express condolences to them, the principal, the staff, the teachers, students at that school, and also the communities where these loved ones would have hailed from. We pray that their soul would rest in peace,
Mm-hmm.
and that those who are bereaved at this time, that they would find comfort in the Lord. It's a difficult period at this time. And the Caribbean Union of Teachers send greetings to all of you, because when these things happen, we do. It just means we get the greetings and we say thanks on your behalf.
Right, definitely.
So you are being prayed for, you're being comforted throughout the region and internationally. I want to say a few things. I know we don't have much time, but I want to again appreciate those teachers who have done a great job preparing the students for CPA.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself created history. Your
Oh,
school
yeah.
is a force. I don't know if you said that earlier,
No.
but your school, first time writing CPA, and I look at the youngster there, he was quite articulate, and I'm very happy for him and his parents and all those teachers at the school who, the Kingston School for Children with Special Needs,
Yeah.
Kingston, and the principal there and the rest of the staff and everybody there.
Mm-hmm.
We are very happy for you. We thank you for making that bold step. And Sister Reba was right there, articulating everything, and that was so good.
Right.
And all the other students from all the other school and the teachers, we want to commend you for a great job. And I should be visiting JP Usa Secondary School on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I already said to the office to write to the ministry, and the steward there would inform the principal also.
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow, God's willing, back on the North Leeward Strip, continue visiting schools. And I know both of you mentioned about toilet paper. And we as a union, wherever we can assist, it's not a financial institution to say we have a whole set of money put aside. But we were able to put our hands into our pocket and find some funds, which is not really much.
Right.
But we were able to assist those schools in North Leeward which do not have toilet paper. And then you would have seen an article hitting the media houses, from us, asking the government to show some respect for the children.
Right.
Because if you don't provide the toilet paper, people might take a book leaf and use it in the toilet, and that would block the toilets.
Right.
Yeah. You see? So we have to avoid that.
It creates unsanitary
Right.
conditions.
And we are talking about safe schools and healthy schools. So we have to really do that. So we will be continuing tomorrow, finishing the other schools on the Fitiu, Chatibile, Petit Bodel, and of course, Rosal.
Right.
And I want to thank AM, insurance broker, Mr. Micah Comerbatch, for assisting. Another member of the executive decided to go tomorrow. I'm not going to call any name because I don't want to call him and next thing. You don't know. And the issue of the High Court,
Right.
we already filed to the Privy Council. We are waiting word to know if that leave has been granted. So if you notice, my t-shirt is still saying justice for all. So you are still foremost in our minds. It's still top on the agenda, this battle. We have to fight it tooth and nail to the end. And another thing I observe in two of the schools in North Leeward, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is using the schools to set up their offices.
What do you mean?
I saw, and those two schools are dear to me, because I had to fight tooth and nail at Westwood Methodist School. Now, nobody in the school told me anything, so y'all don't go out now and try to call anybody an accent thing.
Right.
I made my own observation. It's Westwood Methodist School I started to work.
Right.
And that downstairs of the school, we had the kitchen and you had a science lab. You understand? And that's the only area open. If you have like a little tournament in the schoolyard, there has a gallery there, you could accommodate people. One of the ministries of government is there. I don't know if it's Ministry of Mobilization or Planning. And I observed the same thing at Chumka Primary School. That's my alma mater. So I don't think these people know what they're treading on, And sometimes when the union raises issues, people say it's politics. But those who are put there for the school community. So if you want to set up an office, find somewhere, just like the community center in Rosebank that we upgraded for the community. I understand somebody, some businessman who is managing some kind of quarry and exporting, not stones, something else, took it over.
So I'm going to play very clueless here.
Satan's advocate, you mean?
Why is this an issue if the government sets up an office in a school or set up something or uses part of the school to carry out their other duties, considering that the government is responsible for the school plan, so to
Right,
speak.
there are two fundamental points. One, especially those two schools, it was a great struggle to keep them open.
Right.
In fact, when the Westwood Methodist School was open, Blessed Mary, Mr. Hugh Wiley, we went into the school and had our own ceremony because we struggled. We were keeping school in a downstairs in a disco. It was in the Methodist, and the Methodists renovated the building to build up a church and a resource center.
Right.
So that was a big struggle. In North Leeward, you remember you had the North Leeward Action Committee?
Right.
I was part of that.
Okay.
When all the roads were back, I didn't block the road, but I was the secretary of the committee in North Leeward with Jules, Anthony, and who also passed.
Right.
Right? The other thing is that there's a lot of demand now on schools for space.
Right.
Because everybody comes up with something, somebody dreams something, and the first thing they say, start it in the school, in the primary school. So you need the school need the extra space to facilitate, to coordinate their extracurricular activities and the other events.
Right.
You understand? So when the government had to move in and set up their own office, it is clearly showing that the government does not know what they're doing. You must have a projected plan based on the needs. You understand?
Right.
If you want to decentralize in a smart way, they're trying to implement local government and they rejected it because the Prime Minister never took that report to the House of Parliament. That is what the people said. You know? The people said they want services at the level, local government, etc. I know because part of the local government commission. The other issue I want to raise, because we're not straight, is the whole issue now. You want to reinvent the wheel. So you want to hook the youths in the community to say, oh, come up with a project. And you're going to get $55. Voluntarism. I was part of a movement way back in the 80s. Every single community had a community group doing voluntary work. We used to clean the beaches in Rosebank. You understand? Areas where we had rivers, we had to clean. We had a best kept yard competition. So there was community work.
Right.
So many communities had adult education programs. Right? And we write to the Ministry of Community Development. We get the funds. We do the community work. Those of us who are working, we went and we give free labor. And then those who are not working, they do self-help.
Right.
So you give 2 days and you get paid for 3. So it is not anything new. So when the Minister of Finance is telling the nation, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next 7 months, that seems like it's close to election. So they want to go into the community to say, oh, they do this big ceremony. That is how they want to reach the people. That strategy will not work. I am not saying that we must not try to inculcate in the minds of the youth the importance of
Community work.
Right. And volunteerism, because that's where we emerge from.
Right.
So we need some of that money. We're asking the Minister of Finance, take some of that money and put it in the school and buy chalk. There's schools that don't have chalk, you know.
Or whiteboard markers.
And whiteboard markers. And you mentioned the toilet paper.
Yeah.
This is week 6 now. And the supplies ain't reached there.
Yeah.
Last term, we had to ask the authorities. It was week 7. So where is education? And you mentioned about the value they put on teaching, which is a fundamental point.
Right.
You see, sometimes I don't want to be on these programs, you know, because people get the wrong message. When you speak, the perception, you mustn't say anything. Everybody must sit down and roll over and play dead. Doesn't work so. The union is an organism, and anything that affects people's livelihood, anything that affects education, teaching, and learning, we must speak out. Otherwise, it makes no sense we have a union. So I want to thank you all again. I've gone beyond the time, and I want to big up Boom FM.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to need some seats and stuff. Right?
No, we opted for no seats today.
And, well, but I want to encourage the parents to continue. We're counting down to final exams,
Right,
assessment,
Yeah.
and so on.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, and I'm getting reports about termites in a lot of schools. So I think the Minister of Agriculture probably could look for market for that, because there are some countries may want those to use for other purposes. Yeah, because you see, it's important that we get these people to understand. It makes no sense they come on the radio and they talk this and they're talking things which not happening.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
part of the whole
Campaign.
the whole campaign. We need accountability and transparency to see where and how the monies are being spent on education.
Right.
The so-called monies
Yeah.
that are allocated in the budget for education.
Right.
And if they're being spent wisely and correctly, as we should say.
And the final point is that I understand that the instruction has been given to the school teachers out there that they must go back to Union Island. So I hope the government have the houses ready for the people to go back and live in, and don't put the people under any undue pressure. Yes, they want to go back,
Mhm.
because no place like home.
Right.
You know, the way they could function in their community where they live, where they
Right.
grow up, the culture, the tradition, and everything.
Right.
That is important. But you have to put the infrastructure in place so that people could go back and be comfortable.
Yeah.
You can't send them back there if they're going back in a war situation.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Sometimes when these people speak, I wonder what they're saying, you know.
But did
And
anybody?
I want to use the opportunity to, I don't know why it's the word, because sometimes when you use the word sympathy, people is feel is about death and but metaphorically, we want to empathize with the officials in the Ministry of Education for trying to get some space from the school where the old teachers college used to be there. It's so sad that the Ministry of Education, which is the hub for education, for years we've been asking the government to build a state-of-the-art facility for the Ministry of Education. Put all the little units you have here, adult education, curriculum unit, all kind of unit. It sounds like Vinlek. Closed circuit unit, all kind of unit all over the place. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak this evening. And I want to wish everybody all the best. The teachers, make sure that you all eat properly, eat on time, take care of yourself. Do not kill yourself to mind yourself, but do justice to your work. Right? Now, Lee, what you would see us, God's willing, tomorrow. It's not any campaign. Because some people, when they didn't see you for a little while, they feel it's campaign, even though election is in the air. We are doing our work to visit school. And whatever we see, we will note it and we'll write to the authorities, because we already I wrote the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education about the school at JP USAS. I have not received any response.
Not even an acknowledgement?
Nothing.
Okay.
And this is not the first time I'm right. It seems as though somebody somewhere muzzled the people in the Ministry of Education. Because several times I hear the media calling and it's no response.
Right.
And it's either they cannot be found. Well, I watching Facebook and see anybody in the ministry missing. And the other thing, we might probably have to get some people from special needs school to go there and teach the people how to speak. So we have, you have to speak as long as you're not usurping anybody's authority. You understand? If you don't know, say don't know. Somebody else will address that. Or just say noted.
Right.
Even though you don't have notebooks in the school. So we want to wish you all the best again, and sorry for being so long.
That's okay. That's okay. So, folks, no, you come back in there. Vanrik, you just come back in there and just say your goodbyes to the people, and then I will just end off the program. So go ahead, Vanrik.
So let me say thank you, to Boom FM and also our in-house DJ, the man Fugitive, my brethren from way back when. Yeah, man, thank you for having us this evening. Thank you to those outside in the radio land for tuning in, for listening to Teachers Talk. We appreciate it. And of course, make sure teachers register for the upcoming Teaching Together Summer Program 2025. And of course, as Brother Robbie said earlier, even though people may think that we beat up on the Ministry of Education, we also collaborate when and where necessary, because our upcoming workshop is in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and National Reconciliation, along with the Canadian Teachers Federation.
Right.
So teachers, make sure you register. That link would be available very soon, hopefully this week, most likely. And again, thank you for having us. And this is Vanrik Williams, first Vice President of the SVGTU, and of course the course director, signing out.
And remember, those who are not members of the union, there will be a fee.
Yes,
No,
I
we
mentioned
said that
it earlier.
already.
Right. And they must cover 85% attendance to get the certificate.
Yep.
Correct.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sister
All right.
Reba?
So following that. Ah.
You just do you, darling.
Good
You just do
night,
you.
good night, good night to our listeners, our viewers, especially our teachers. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead. And of course, listen out for more information on our Go Public Fund Education campaign. It was wonderful being in studio tonight with my colleagues, and I hope to be here again soon. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Let me thank you all for being in studios here with me this evening. And I also want to thank DJ Fuji. Yes, although we have a kind of love hate relationship going on whole afternoon, I'm having love hate relationships going on here. But thank you very much. Thank you to Boom FM. I want to thank all of you who are listening on 106.9 FM. Those of you who are on our Facebook live feed, we appreciate it very much. And this has been another edition of Teachers Talk. Before I forget, because I always forget, before I forget, it's next month, the month of June, we have specially decided to dedicate that to our men. So, guys, you are going to take front and center stage the whole of June because
Biological men, eh?
but
Biological.
yes, this is not gender issues here. We're talking about, do we say cis men? That's what they term it as now, cis men. We're talking about men. We are geared towards you, health and wellness, different issues, fatherhood. We have you covered for the whole month of June. So make sure you're locked on and you're listening in. Women, make sure you listen to hear what the men have to say from a fatherhood from a male's perspective and health from a male's perspective, so you can make sure that your men get up and do the health checks that they're supposed to do. Yes, I see Van hiding his face there. Yeah, mm-hmm. So, with that being said, my name is Fiona Charles Williams, the PR of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union. Wishing you a good night, a good week, and God bless.
Yeah. I didn't know you.
Ooh, oh.